celebration time. It don't matter what part of the jewel you come from. You da you and me da me. But guess what? All are we the one. See what I mean? Jump and shout all over the nation. We're breaking out with a new creation.
In the 1960s, the band Los Belicenos was in high demand for dances, weddings, and parties across the country. Our Belize Watch team spoke with the founder of the band, Pops Acosta. We will have his musical journey, and later in our show, we will speak with George Gabb Jr. as he shares the work he and his family has been doing in the formation of a foundation honoring his dad. We take a break to hear from our partners, Belize Natural Energy Charitable Trust, the Barry, Shell Belize, and the National Gas Company.
Let's be real. Forget the propaganda. Forget the hype. Forget the gimmicks. When it comes to butane, only two things really matter: the value you get and how long you can stretch your dollar. That's it. Butane is my business. It's how I feed my family. It's how I send my kids to school. What matters to you matters to me. With NGC, the quality of the butane is better. In fact, customers say tanks last as much as 2 weeks longer. And the cost, it's one cost period, whether you pick it up in the north, south, or by Belmopan. One supplier, one cost, no games. This lets me compete on a fair basis, and I can then pass on better prices to you, my customers. It's as simple as that. I am Stephen Bissett, and I deliver butane in the Belize district. NGC has been good for us in Belize. We welcome the transparency, we welcome the better product, and we welcome the fairness that now prevails.
The National Gas Company Belize Limited, fueling Belize forward.
Since 2008, the Belize Natural Energy Charitable Trust has created opportunities for Belizeans to develop themselves and their communities. The Trust employs tools that are intuitive, collaborative, and accessible so that every Belizean is empowered to achieve their full potential. Over 200,000 Belizeans have been impacted because of our various initiatives. The Belize Natural Energy Charitable Trust, empowering Belizeans of today to create the Belize of tomorrow.
We are the Barry, offering you great products, good service, and of course, the lowest prices in the entire country. Visit us in Belize City, Belmopan, San Ignacio Cayo, Orange, and now in San Pedro, La Isla Bonita. The Barry. Get more? Be less.
Shell V-Power, with 3 times more cleaning and friction-reducing molecules. Go well! Go Shell!
It don't matter what part of the jewel you come from. You da you and me da.
So Augusta, Pops Acosta, you come from this long tradition of Belizean musician. All of us in my age group are familiar with most of the bands you call Los Belicenos, the Harmonettes, the Cañeros, Gil Harry, Lord Rayburn, you know, many of these, Glenn Wood and the Mediators, and then Glenn Wood and the Telegrams, right? You know, we can all recall fond memories of these bands, the days when the big band dominated the scene. And it's amazing that Belize had so many of these big bands at the time. Because all these bands we're talking about were together. I mean, when I say that, they performed in the same era, and all of them had jobs. So how that used to work?
And my band was mostly dedicated to Latin music. We played everything, every type of music we played, but it was mostly a Latin band. And also, we used to visit Chatomal a lot because they used to send for us. And man, when we get there, the people are so crazy when they hear us playing, you know. Then for San Joaquin, Fiesta, Belicenos is right there. All over Belize, Belicenos.
I noticed Los Belicenos, you have two albums here that you allowed me to go through earlier, and I want to bring them up to the forefront because you have really documented a bit of the Belize's musical history in these albums that you have. And so let me just, we could maybe start from the beginning, Pops. Let's go through them, right? The Los Belicenos, and it says...
the history of Los Belicenos.
And initially formed by Pops Acosta in 1962, mainly played Latin music, just like you were saying. And it was Honduras and Nicaragua, you said.
Yeah.
What was it like on those visits to Honduras and Nicaragua?
When we had very, very good time. Everybody loved us. And the best of it is when we met Antonio Aguilar and Flor Silvestre. Because the same representative we had in Nicaragua were their representative. And we both played in the same stadium with thousands of people.
Then you have a picture here, Pops, of the Bamboo Bay Boys. You know, the 5 band members being Manuel Acosta on drums, Roland Mause Britton on guitar, Madiki on the saxophone, Jesus Chuchin Acosta Sr., trumpet. Acosta Sr. was on the saxophone, and trumpet was Pops Acosta. That's you.
Right.
And that's in 1962 as well. But this Bamboo Bay Boys, you're saying here was like the junior to Los Belicenos, no? Or something like that?
No. The junior to Belicenos was the Echoes.
The Echoes, okay.
The Echoes. And then from Bamboo Bay is when we moved over to Cisne Blanco, which was the White Swan. See,
yeah.
the jackets then we had
And
on.
then you had to use jackets and formal dress. You're dressed very formal.
Oh, yes. We had a lot of uniforms.
And
This guy came to Belize with Lord Raven. And
who is that guy you're pointing on?
Jorge Hill, a Honduranian.
Yes.
And he lasted Raven, I think it was just 2 weeks when he quit Raven and decided to come to me because of the Latin music that we played.
Jorge Hill performed on Lord Raven's Tropical y Ritmo LP, right? He sang Melinda, Nicaragua, and he also sang Noches de Escuintla, and there's another one that he did, and then there was this particular song that he did that he screamed out, Moon River. It was Moon River on the same LP that we couldn't play on Radio Belize. I don't know if you remember that. We couldn't play Moon River on Radio Belize, done by Lord Raven Combo. You know why? Because I think in it he says, Arriba mi Guatemala, que rica mi Guatemala. That was not no on Radio Belize. But anyway, let's go ahead.
Well, anyway, because of him, we started the tour.
1964.
Yeah, 1964. On account of him, let's go travel. He picked up the phone and called some friends in Honduras at that club. And the very day we got in, we played the same night. So we had it.
Famous names there too, you know. Brother Leslie comes up, Chuck Gladden, and Roland Britton.
Yep. Almost all of them have died out already, boy. I think I'm the only one in this picture that's living. Everyone else gone with the wind.
And you're pushing 86 years now, no?
Well, November will be 86.
Yeah. And then this other picture here, what you're looking at, talk to me about that.
Which one? This one? Well, this one is when the most of the members had changed. which Dennis Trumbach came, Louis Vanson, what they call Cubano, Bill Belide, Hugo Vasquez, Tani, Roland Britton, and Miguel Rosado, what they call Chilio. You know, those are when we get new members in the band.
This other picture here is you performing at the Battle of the Band on the 10th of September.
Yeah. This
1967?
This is when we left from the Pickwick Club after playing the dance. We finished playing about 5, 6 in the morning there, because Pickwick used to take the dance very late. 6 o'clock, and by the time we packed up and everything, we were out at the park for about 7:30 in the morning to continue the whole day. And we parade up to 4 o'clock, and no worry, 9 o'clock we had the Continental playing again.
So you played about 3 times a day, at least, 3 performances for the day. And what about these pictures over there? Mark me through some of them. The same?
Yeah. This one was in the 10th of September, this on the parade.
That's at the back of a truck, am I right?
Yeah, we were all in the truck, you know, parade.
How did you feel playing in the, as a young boy playing this music and seeing people reacting to your music and so? What did it feel like?
Man, it was so good because everybody used to love the band. Belicenos, Belicenos. Everybody used to go crazy for Belicenos at that time.
Yeah. Oh, you have more pictures of the members of Los Belicenos, no?
Yeah.
In different performances.
Yes, different pictures, yeah.
I noticed you're recollecting the life of Jesus Manuel Chucho Acosta.
Yeah, this is when he died,
Right.
1930. He born 1939 and died 2018, December 2nd, 2018.
And he was also a tremendous musician,
Oh,
right?
yes,
He besides doing Jesus Acosta and the Professionals,
He was one of Belize's #1 saxophonists.
yes, he started off with he was playing for a while in Merida with Los Dinners. Los Dinners, and Los Dinners did a very famous LP in the 60s,
Yes,
in 1964 to be exact, Un Verano con Los Dinners. And it featured in every song on that LP featured Jesus Acosta playing the saxophone. And that LP was very popular throughout the whole of Central America and parts of Mexico and all over at that time. You remember that?
Yeah, I think Bill Belide had went with a band too in Mexico. I don't remember the name of that band. Bill, when Jesus gone, our next band came and took Bill. And Bill was in Merida too.
Yes.
Playing, I don't remember the name of that group.
So this is your first album here with featuring Los Belicenos, the story of Los Belicenos. What made the band Los Belicenos disintegrate? What caused the disbanding of Los Belicenos?
Well, we started to have a little problem, you know. Some of the members didn't want certain members to continue playing because they couldn't get along. And because I didn't get rid of them, they decided to quit. And then they went and started the Professionals.
So that's how the Jesus Acosta and the Professionals got started, a spin-off from Los Belicenos.
Right.
And like you were saying, and we were saying earlier, there were many other Belizean bands around at the time. You had the Vibrations, Belizean Vibrations, you had Glen Wood and the Mediators, Los Cañeros. Yeah, there were many other bands around at the time.
A lot of them. There was a lot.
And then let me see, you got a next album here that you brought for me. You brought me another album. Let me see what you have in it. Let's just move this one side. And what are you showing me in here?
This is when we were at the Memorial Park playing for the Battle of... for the Battle of the Bands.
That's not the bands,
Yeah, Battle of the Bands. That's it.
He will take us Saturday afterwards. Then who?
This was the LEC band. This was Chichin, this is me. This Jesus. This is Aracelidad.
The Elise band was what? What did they do?
March band.
There's a marching band, right?
The marching band.
For the 10th of September,
Yeah.
march music, no?
And we used to play a lot on Sundays for the lodge.
Okay.
The lodge used to have parades, you know, and
So that was beside being part of Los Belicenos, you were part of the Elise band?
Yeah.
And the Elise band would lead the parades, like you say, and the funerals and and what have you.
I don't.
How long did that band last?
Boy, this was an old band. It was old. And Abel Rodon was the director of it. But when he got sick, then my uncle Chin took it over. And he was the leader of the band then.
And Abel Rodon is the man that composed Abel's March, which we still play up until today.
Right.
Abel Rodon, Abel's March.
Yeah. Yeah.
What else you have here?
This one now is the picture when I started at 10 years old.
You're 10-year-old there in the corner right here, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, we just had about 15 kids here, and that's the 4th September parade. And the second year, man, I tell you, it was about 150 kids my uncle had on that street parading. Yeah.
And who's this baby here?
That's my wife and her dad, Nando.
Oh, okay.
Nando.
What the surname was?
Gardenia.
Cardenia. Related, of course, my good friend Rene Cardenia, who I haven't seen for quite some time.
This was the Lucky Strike.
Lucky Strike? What Lucky Strike had to do with the band?
No, this was picture of the Lucky Strike. A band from way back with my uncle and...
Oh, that's before Los Belicenos.
This is in 1936.
Long before Los Belicenos.
Yeah, long
Okay.
before. This is from 1936, this band. Yep,
Bertie Martinez was in that band, no?
I think so.
I think Bertie was there. Yeah, I think I see. Where's Bertie? Here. It says
Oh, yes, yeah.
Gualberto Bertie Martinez.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He used to sing and play saxophone.
You could play guitar too?
Yeah, I play guitar too.
And then what else? I've just Jesus Acosta.
That's Jesus, yeah.
There's Jesus Acosta playing his saxophone there.
Yep.
Alto sax, I think, if he played.
You have the one with him, and if that, maybe you could take one picture of that one.
And these guys are who?
This is Jorge
Hill.
Hill, Manuel, Chuck, me, Mosey, and brother. This is our journalists, 6 of us at the White Swan. Then afterwards, the band get bigger and bigger and bigger. We gone from 6 to 10.
So you keep your archives, them, Pops?
Oh, yes.
Your musical archives, huh? A picture from the past.
Yeah.
So you keep your archives going.
I don't think, I might be wrong, but I don't think any other musicians would have a book like what I have here.
But thanks for sharing it with us, because sometimes we make our history just slip by, and we don't acknowledge people who played a key role in getting us where we are at. Yeah. And of course, musical-wise, you're one of those giants.
Yep.
Right?
I appreciate that, and thank you for the comment.
But, like you said, you moved to the United States now. You spent the latter part of your life living over here. Do you have any comments that you would like to give to young Belizeans? Because I know several young Belizeans who might say, man, things are good, the States. I mean, I would like to go there and live and that kind of thing. You know, what advice would you give them?
Well, people think because you live in States, you have it good. You have to work for what you want. You have to work hard. But I know a lot of Belizeans think that because you live in States, you have plenty of money. Some people have, but what? they have to work hard for it. Thank the good Lord right now, I'm not rich, but me and my wife live good. We have our own house, and we are on pension right now, so my little money that I have put up in the bank, I haven't touched that from I left 12 years ago work. My money haven't touched. I don't know how much shares in public stocks. I haven't touched a penny out of that. When I die, I have already made a will. That money going to leave for my kids, which they don't need it. They don't need it either because they are grown up and have good jobs.
But not many Belizeans who come and live in the United States are as fortunate as you are to be in the position that you are in, right?
Well,
you know of any Belizean who may not be in that position? We'll call it, of course.
I think there are a few. There are a few, but you have some too that very, very look to go ahead. Look to go ahead. My son, my oldest son, he started as a bag boy in Publix. And now he is a manager of 14 stores for Publix. He have to check all these stores every day. He is so lucky that, these type of job, these managers, they get Visa card, they get car. My son just got a new car because the company tell him, your car is 3 years old already, let me give you a new one. Just a month ago, he got a new 2023 car. And then my second son in the Navy, my third son, he is assistant store manager in Publix. My daughter, she worked for Publix too. And all of them work for Publix over 30 years. So you could just imagine what their benefits in stock.
Publix give their employees stocks.
You buy one share, Publix match you with one. So that what helped me, kind of okay.
Now, looking back on your life, Pops, at 86, growing up in Belize, migrating to the U.S., but still going back to Belize as often as you can, what is it you miss most from Belize?
Well, I have a lot of friends still back in Belize. And when I go to Belize, I don't drink like one time. One time ago, I used to drink a lot, but now, very, very seldom I would take a drink. I have a bar at home with all kind of liquor, with a fridge filled with beer. And once in a while, I would take a little drink of scotch. My shelf filled right up with liquor, and I don't even, not like one time ago, man. One time ago, I can't wait to get home from work, to drink, but not now. And I feel pretty good right now. I feel pretty good. So I can't complain about myself.
So in retrospect, do you think you made the right decision to stay in the United States?
Well, I think so.
What would life, let us say you had continued in Belize, what do you think your life would have been like?
Well, I had my grocery store.
Yes.
After I quit.
What were your plans for that grocery store when you left?
Well, for it to get bigger. But when we decided to come, I sold it. And I sold everything I had in Belize. Taking a chance coming up here without papers. But the good Lord was on my side, that we got our papers, and the money I sold the house back in Belize, I bought my house up here. So I didn't throw away the money, you know.
So do you see yourself going back to spend the next few years in Belize, maybe?
Well, you could never tell. You could never tell because every day I go on my computer, you know, and I see different things of Belize, because they advertise Belize a lot. And I see some nice house that they're selling. I mean, and to me, they're cheap. You know?
2 to 1, no?
Yeah, to me, they are cheap. And I said sometime I would like to buy one. And well, I would put my cousin in there to live, to take care of it, which is Tony. You know, I would tell him, take the house and use it, you know. When I come, well, then I just need a room to stay for whatever time I'm going to stay.
So you don't see yourself moving back to Belize and spending your last years in Belize as such?
No, I don't think so. Well, not at this moment. Not at this moment.
So, Augusto Pops Acosta,
That's right.
what would be your message to your fellow Belizeans in Belize?
Well, I still love all my Belizeans. I love Belize a lot. And I'm not sure what I'm going to do yet. I haven't think about it. And it's possible that I go back to Belize, because Belize is, to me, is the #1 place. And as I don't know if you all listen to the radio, but up here in the States, they have a station that say Belize for tourists is the #1.
So it's all about Belize, right? And so you follow to that phrase, you better Belize it, right?
Oh yes, better Belize it. You better.
Well, Augusto Pops Acosta, Belizean living in the Miami area, a Belizean who has kept Belize in his heart always, because like he says, it's the most beautiful country in the world, and I concur with that. You know, but it's good to have heard from you, Pops, and to look at the pictures that you shared with me about your band, and thanks for the contribution you made to music in Belize, you know, band music in Belize, especially in those days in the 60s when we were young and we used to go out a lot to the dances and everything was with a band. Of course, there was a lot of law and order in those days, you know, and we felt very safe to be about. Yeah. So thank you so much for sharing those pictures with me. I know you hold them very close. So thanks again, and thanks for all you've done.
Okay, I appreciate that, Rennie, and I hope when you leave Miami, you have a safe trip back home.
It's good, for me, it's a good feeling to be able to see Belizeans over here who have contributed, whether in the past and are still contributing to the development of our country.
When we come back, we begin our conversation with George Gabb Jr. as he reflects on his dad's contributions and how he and his family have been giving back over the years. We take the opportunity to thank the Ministry of Tourism and Diaspora Relations for partnering with us to make these interviews possible.
The future is ours. This is Belize. We welcome you back home, if only for a visit. The government of Belize is committed to mobilizing a productive partnership with you, the diaspora. With that in mind, the government has created the Diaspora Relations Unit within the Ministry of Tourism and Diaspora Relations. The general objectives of the unit are to raise Belize's profile on the international stage, grow the economy by increasing exports and attracting inward investments, promote trade, provide information and support to Belizeans abroad, encourage expertise exchange and identify opportunities for philanthropy. Developing an effective relationship with each of you will offer a platform from which to showcase Belize's excellence and generate much-needed exchange of ideas and resources. Our vision: an inclusive and participatory Belizean society, where every Belizean contributes to national development and shares in the benefits thereof, notwithstanding place of residency. Composition of the unit: Ambassador for Diaspora Relations, non-resident, Senior Liaison Officer, Liaison Officer, Secretary, Office Assistant. Knowing and understanding you is crucial to engaging effectively. You must be involved and included in the development of our country. We will engage you through our registry, online outreach, other initiatives, and awareness campaigns tailored to bringing you back home while enjoying the benefits offered. Empowering our diaspora includes mobilizing the transfer of skills and resources. Government will empower this process by introducing special measures and programs in different fields of expertise. Dissemination of information is key and serves to heighten awareness of various products and services. Our website is one such example of empowering our Belizeans abroad. Through the website, valuable information will be shared worldwide with you, the members of the diaspora. Maintaining the connection is widely regarded as important for the development of our country. Staying connected will give you access to regularly updated news, relevant resources, learning and funding opportunities. We encourage you to stay connected to your home country by participating in programs designed to facilitate diaspora engagement. The interaction we have with you is only going to increase as technology and communications allow you to play a role without returning home. In addition to remittances, you have contributed generously to the Belizean community by donating food, clothing, education, and medical supplies. The Diaspora Relations Unit is committed to maintaining active connections with you as we continue to create positive changes in our country. We are always here for you. Visit our website at belizediaspora.bz or email us at diaspora.relations@tourism.gov.bz.
Let's be real. Forget the propaganda, forget the hype, forget the gimmicks. When it comes to butane, only two things really matter: the value you get and how long you can stretch your dollar. That's it. Butane is my business. It's how I feed my family. It's how I send my kids to school. What matters to you matters to me. With NGC, the quality of the butane is better. In fact, customers say tanks last as much as 2 weeks longer. And the cost, it's one cost period, whether you pick it up in the north, south, or by Belmopan. One supplier, one cost, no games. This lets me compete on a fair basis, and I can then pass on better prices to you, my customers. It's as simple as that. I am Stephen Bissett, and I deliver butane in the Belize district. NGC has been good for us in Belize. We welcome the transparency, we welcome the better product, and we welcome the fairness that now prevails.
The National Gas Company Belize Limited, fueling Belize forward.
Since 2008, the Belize Natural Energy Charitable Trust has created opportunities for Belizeans to develop themselves and their communities. The trust employs tools that are intuitive, collaborative, and accessible so that every Belizean is empowered to achieve their full potential. Over 200,000 Belizeans have been impacted because of our various initiatives. The Belize Natural Energy Charitable Trust, empowering Belizeans of today to create the Belize of tomorrow.
We are Gibari, offering you great products, good service, and of course, the lowest prices in the entire country. Visit us in Belize City, Belmopan, San Ignacio Cayo, Orangeat, and now in San Pedro, La Isla Bonita. Gibari. Get more? Be less.
Shell V-Power, with 3 times more cleaning and friction-reducing molecules. Go well! Go Shell!
It don't matter what part of the jewel they come from. You that you and me.
With me is none other than George Gabb Jr. And when you say George Gabb Jr., we're talking the son of George Seymour Gabb Sr., right? Because George Gabb is one of the national icons of Belize. He was a painter. He was a sculptor. As a matter of fact, the national treasure, the sleeping giant, was created by George Gabb, among many other things. George Seymour Gabb. I knew George very well in my younger days, and so it's a pleasure, an honor, and a privilege to have you, his son, George Gabb Jr., here with me, and also your wife, and your young George Gabb III.
Yes, that's correct. Thank you very much. Yes, George Gabb III.
Right?
Yes,
yes.
He wants to be announced.
You want to do the interview? Okay.
There he goes. All right. Good job.
Good job, young man.
Good job. Keep it up.
You're George III, right?
Mm-hmm. Say yes. Say hi. Say, my name is George Gabb. George Carmel.
And then this is your lovely wife,
Alexis.
Alexis.
Nice to meet you all. Alexis Robinson.
All mine, Alexis. nice meeting you. Now, I understand, and as you came in, you proudly say it. You said it, right? I'm just back from so much time I spent in Belize, and you started telling me about some of the things you were doing in Belize.
Yes.
So I think maybe we should start there.
Wonderful, yes. So this summer, we've been planning this for a long time. Our family decided to create a foundation in my father's name to support, to preserve his legacy, and so we started a project called the Digital Tribe Belize.
Digital?
The Digital Tribe Belize.
Digital Tribe, like TRIBE,
Yeah,
Digital Tribe Belize.
Correct. And so that project is in my father's legacy. My father, once he learned how to, taught himself how to carve, he taught other kids and everybody else around him, his family, to carve. And so they started creating that industry. Well, I don't carve right now, but I do teach computer programming. So I said I want to do and honor his legacy. So his legacy was to teach what he knew to everybody, and so that's what I'm doing. So we're setting up a network across the country. We're donating computers to schools and organizations, and then we're setting up to be able to teach computer programming free to the school, to the kids. We're targeting primary school up through high school, and healthy living. So that's the Digital Tribe project that we're starting, and it's the first of the projects that we're going to do with the Gabb Foundation. That's just the first of it.
Excellent. I think your wife is very much involved, right?
Oh, absolutely.
So let me hear her side of the story.
So part of what we've done is we donated computers, like my husband said. We donated to the Children's Home. We donated to Lucky Stripe, Zion, and I think 2 other schools in Belize. And we not only taught the students, the children, basics of what computers are, the fundamentals, but we also taught them healthy living in the form of yoga, because that's something that we're passionate about. We learned that a lot of people in Belize are suffering from, health issues like everybody else in the world, and we want to make sure that we're pushing the idea of healthy living, education, because we know that that's what's going to empower everyone and make sure everybody does well in life.
And that's a good combination, because when you're talking about teaching, using computers, and so you tend to get sedentary. You just sit there and behind the computer. So it's good to be aware that you need to move and you need to eat healthy, so that you can address the issues better. So that's a good combination.
One of the things I shared with some of the students was that I actually teach computers as well. I don't just teach yoga. I teach healthy living, but I also teach computing. So I know that it's important to have that balance. And I want to make sure that everybody understands that and starts to apply that in their lives. Because if we are all feeling better, doing better, then we are living a healthy, good life. And that's what I hope for everybody in Belize and all over the world, really. For my child, for my family.
No, your accent sounds, I guess, Jamaican, right?
Yes, I'm from Jamaica.
From Jamaica. Now, how did you a Jamaican lady link up to this Belizean man?
Well, I actually got to working with him at the college here in Miami, Miami-Dade College. We actually work together. We teach computers at Miami-Dade College locally. So that's how I met him. He hired me way back when, and he was the chairperson of our department. He's since then become faculty. I'm adjunct faculty. And he came to my yoga class as well. And that's how we started to connect as, you know, a unit. And over time, we got married, and now we have a little George Gabb.
What brought you to the United States, George?
Right out of high school, you know, we wanted to go to college and continue my education. So that was, you know, what brought me to the States back in 1986. So 86, yeah, from 86, yeah. I came up. My sister was here already. Elena was here, and they offered, you know, an opportunity for me to come up and study, and so I took that opportunity to come up and study, and have been here since. You know.
You mentioned your sister Elena. How is she doing?
She's doing well. She's doing okay. So you know, so yeah, they're doing well. I have my Elena is here. I have a sister in Deirdre in Portugal, and then my two brothers in Belize. You know, so.
No, you came to study, and you stayed.
Yes. Yeah. Actually, I wasn't sure I was going to stay. I thought I was going to go back to Belize. And at the time, you know, when I came up here in '86, I decided to study psychology. And I thought I was going to go back to Belize and be the first Belizean psychologist. But it didn't work out that way. So, you know, after psychology, I kind of veered into, I started working at the college in computers as a student assistant, you know, and in the computer department. And I would be making photocopies of the manuals that the faculty were writing. And I would sit there, 4 hours a day just making photocopies. And at the machine, I just started reading the books, you know. So these manuals, these computer manuals, and I would take them in, and I'd be in the office, and the faculty would be having their discussion, and then I would make my little smart Belizean remark, you know how we go, you know. And I would say, oh, but what about that? And they would go, how'd you know that? And I go, well, I read your book. And they go, you need to be in computers, right? So that was how I kind of got into technology, and yeah. Yeah, and connected.
No. So you are at which university? Remind me again.
So I'm now at Miami-Dade College. Miami-Dade College, and here in Miami-Dade College, we have 10 campuses across Dade County. I'm at the North Campus, which is, and I've been there since 1998. Wow. Yeah. I came there from Nova because I studied at NSU, Nova Southeastern University, and then that's where I started working in education. I started out as an advisor because to stay in the U.S. at the time, you had to do practical training, right? So to go on, I did my practical training, and part of that was being advising. So I started doing advisement in the computer department, and then that just kept going, and they just kept promoting me, and I went from from advisor to director to running the master's and undergraduate program for NSU in their computer school, and then I left NSU in '98 and went to Miami-Dade College, and at Miami-Dade College at the North Campus, I've been the department chair all the way up until 2013 when I stepped down. So I've been in college administration for over 25 years.
That's quite some time indeed.
Yes. Both at the undergraduate and the graduate level. So that's been a trajectory I never thought I would go. But my homeroom teacher, Mr. Mangar, from St. John's, before we graduate, he said, he made what would we all be doing, and he predicted, for me. He says, George, I predict you being back here, running St. John's College. And I was like, no, I don't want that, because I don't want to work inside an office. At the time, I didn't really want to work inside an office. I thought of myself as an outside person. And I ended up in education. So Mr. Mangar was right on spot.
And who knows, you're still young, relatively young, so you might end up doing what he forecasted indeed. Because a lot of people here that I've spoken to tell me how much they long to go back and resettle back home, some of them, you know.
Oh, yes, absolutely, you know. My thing is, not only am I'm going back home and resettling there, but reestablishing myself there, but I want to keep that bridge in both my feet in both places, you know, both here in the U.S. and in Belize, because that's where you have the ability to create opportunity, you know, for folks, and that's really what we're about. In fact, the college's motto is, you know, opportunity changes everything, and so in that light and in that line, this is part of my work with the college as a faculty, is to, you know, encourage, develop people, get people to, you know, make differences in their lives through education. And so I want to continue doing that. And this is, I'm very fortunate to be in this position here today to be able to do that.
Let's find out about your wife now. You were born in Jamaica, right?
Yes, I was born in Jamaica. I was born in Spanish Town, Jamaica. I've been living in the U.S. since 1996. I came here when I was quite young, not that young, about teenager, 14, 15. I've been living here ever since in South Florida. I got my bachelor's degree from the University of Florida here in Florida, and my first master's is in education, and my second master's is in IT, which is how I came to working in the IT department at our college, teaching, yes.
You have similar backgrounds. Both of you came to study in the U.S. and decided, okay, well, let me just settle and stay here. Would you say that would be
That's correct. But I have since then been to Belize quite a few times and fallen absolutely in love. And I'm excited about the opportunity to be bi-coastal, to be in Belize half of the time and here half of the time, because I see, again, like my husband said, the opportunities we can create here in America are invaluable, but the peace and the beauty and the Belizean character and the way of being is ideal in Belize.
What do you enjoy doing most in Belize when you're in there?
Oh, man. Honestly, just waking up and listening to the birds and appreciating a new day. It's just a slower pace. Kikaka, for example, you know what I'm saying? What's the motto in Kikaka? Barefoot and go slow?
No shoes, no shirt, no problem.
Yes, that's it. And I love that. Just that relaxed mentality is very important so that we can maintain a good peace of mind. If you have a relaxed place, a relaxed environment, these things make your life a little better. And when we can appreciate that.
Well, Mrs. Gabb, your husband and I had a very good conversation just now about life and philosophies of life. And so what is your guiding light? What guides your life and what moves you forward?
Well, I've been learning a lot. And I'm learning that what helps for me is to slow down. Slow down. I was rushing through life trying to get to this thing, to that thing. And the more I slow down and breathe and really connect with being present in this moment, things become clearer. And I feel like that's really where I am in life, is trying to be present with what's going on. Whatever it may be, just to take a deep inhale and a deep exhale and just be aware of what's really happening. Because I think we all do. We miss most of what's happening because we're caught up in our thoughts. And that's where I am in life, just trying to be more present with this moment, in connecting with you, connecting with my husband, connecting with Belizean people. I mean, over the last 6 weeks, I met so many wonderful, interesting souls. There was a young lady, she had just completed her level 2 certificate in cake baking. She was at the children's home. And she baked a cake that would just, rival anybody else's. It was beautiful. And then I learned later on that, just connecting with her, her birthday was a few days off from mine. And just being able to connect with somebody, being present with somebody, that's where I want to be more of in life. Just in this moment, one moment at a time, enjoying it, breathing through it. I've learned that education is important. It's a mechanism for creating income, but true life lessons come from being around good people. And Belize is filled with so many beautiful people. And everybody would say to me, oh, you know, our Belizean people, we don't take care of each other. But I found that to be absolutely the opposite when I was hanging out with the Belizean people.
From somebody who
Everybody was looking out for everybody. I never felt like I was doing it by myself. And all the things that would come up, all little obstacles would come our way. And, you know, car breaking down, these little things would come up. And Belizeans came to the rescue. A Mayan woman in the middle of the jungle rode up on our bike with another farmer, and she lit a fire because the mosquitoes were getting us real bad. But that's not something I know. But a Belizean knew that. A Mayan woman knew that. Knew to immediately jump to action. And she spoke no English. She tried to tell us that there were bees nearby, and just that being able to be alert and to find the delight in that moment, despite all the craziness that was happening to us, that's what I hope to continue to do, to continue to practice in life. Yeah.
So I take it you do yoga, right? That from how you're talking. You teach you taught him yoga. You taught George yoga.
Yes, he came to class, but now I feel like we learn from each other because it's constant practice. You know, it's not just the physical things that people think of when they think of yoga. They think of the poses, but the true yoga is trying to be alert, to be aware, to be calm, because the more calmness you can establish, the more can just be in here.
And it has a lot to do with the breathing, right? With taking deep breaths. Tell me, you are the expert. You alluded to it.
The breath is our most important tool. Our breath, if we're not present, if aware of it, most of the time we're hyperventilating. We're going, and that puts us in this fight or flight mode. But if we can just take a deep inhale and a deep exhale, no matter what distractions may be there, you can actually stay present with yourself, with the people that you're talking with. You can be joyful no matter what's happening, because joy and peace is something that you have. You never lose it. You just have to cultivate it constantly. And it's work. And it's joyful work once you get into the practice of it.
So if I'm to understand correctly, because I'm not an expert in yoga or anything like that, but if I'm to understand, you're saying that yoga connects you with your inner self, yes, right? Absolutely. And by taking these deep breaths, like let me see, and letting it go, and just letting it go, and so it's easier than just to be sitting here and.
It makes you much more present. It makes you more active, and you feel like you can really engage in a true way in yourself. Otherwise, if I'm in this fight or flight mode, or I'm confused, or I'm just caught in my thoughts, then I'm not really truly engaging with you. I'm thinking, and I'm not talking. I'm not really relating with you. I'm not connecting with you. And yoga, the word yoga means to join, to connect. To make that union, that's actually what we're doing constantly, is making these connections, these unions with ourselves and with the other beings, the other lights that are around us, and understanding those lights in their different modes.
So to do yoga, one doesn't necessarily have to be physically fit and be able to stretch here and stretch there, right? Tell me.
You just need to want to be with yourself in that moment, and all it takes is one big inhale and one big exhale. My favorite philosophy, meditation teacher says, one conscious breath is a meditation. And our yoga is moving meditation. So if we can just breathe.
And you can do it throughout the day, right?
Throughout the day. It's not exclusive to being at the beach or sitting in Belize City or being in Cayo. It doesn't matter where you are. You can be sitting in the bed. You can be driving in the car. You can sit at the bus stop and be in yoga, be in union, be in connection with yourself. And you find this, why? Life just feels a lot better.
You mentioned education a while ago too, and linked it with your education means really to draw out what we have inside of us. That should be the function of education. In your mind, is it doing that?
I think in parts it does. If there are opportunities to help you continue to learn, then of course it's doing that. But if you're stopped, if you're stagnated in the education process, that can be really a challenging obstacle for many people. But the beauty of technology, why we're doing what we're doing right now, is technology allows you to have access. Internet. Everybody can get on the internet on your cell phone, on your tablet, whatever you have. You can connect and you can learn something. You don't have to be, games are great, but you don't have to play games. You can really use the time to learn something, to empower yourself in any way. I teach computer classes, and the first thing I remind them is, what do we use in the computer to do? Look stuff up. That's the main function, that and emailing people. But we're constantly researching, so using that and remembering that tool and always using it as a tool to empower ourselves changes our life experience.
Yes. And George Gabb III seems to be very active, very active right now. And so, hey, George Gabb III.
Hey, Georgie.
What's happening?
Georgie.
What's happening, guys?
Say hello. Say hello.
What's happening there?
Say hi to everybody. Say hi. Say hello. He wants the attention.
He's very shy.
He wants the attention.
Yeah. But this is your first child, right?
Yes, this is my first child. I was previously married and had stepkids from before, but this is my first son.
So, George Gabb III.
Yes.
He was in Belize with you?
Yes, he was.
Yes.
Yes.
This affair.
Yes, it's definitely a family affair, and he was a trooper. We put him through a lot, driving back and forth from Cayo to Belize City and Boston and all that. Pretty much almost every day. And he handled it like a boss. And he was able to help ease a lot of things for us, winning hearts, when we were helping at the children's home, he had a blast at King's Children's Home. He had a blast. The kids loved him, and he was on the slides, and that way we were able to get some work done, right? So because we did the installations there, we installed the lab there for them. We did 6 computers, 6 desktop, and we had 3 laptops that we gave them. I should say donated, I don't want to say gave, but in fact we're returning a couple of them today for them. He helped us get everything done and made things a little bit easier. And as you can see, we have him with us pretty much, all the time. And he's right there with us. So he's learning. He's learning and getting all these experiences from now. So put him in these situations and so that he can handle it.
Hey, George III, I have 4 children and 13 grandchildren, so I'm used to babies behaving like how he's behaving.
Oh yes. I'm learning to wrangle him. I would say the hardest part was coming back on the plane, right? But he flew down fine. He didn't have any problems on the way back. Yeah, he's getting tired.
He's getting tired. He's getting sleepy, and so on, right? So we'll allow you to put him to sleep. But let me tell before you go, maybe we could just ask you about your future plans in life. What are your future plans in life? And then I'll let you go and then finish up with George.
To continue to find happiness, peace, and joy in every moment. To see my son grow up into a loving, wonderful, kind human. To see others learn and grow as well and develop themselves in all their potential, because we have so much to learn, to grow, and so much love to give. So to see, for example, the kids at the children's home go on to bright futures, feeling loved and cared for. Those are the things I hope for.
I will put in this one for you because I'm taking it from what you all have been saying. You'll continue working to help develop our country, Belize, right?
Absolutely. I'm so involved and so committed to the folks of Belize, because I feel like you guys are my family. This is my family. So
there's a commonality between Jamaica and Belize, anyway.
Oh, absolutely. Jamaica. Do you want me to tell my stories?
She loves when I tell her, Belize was founded by pirates from Jamaica, from where?
Port Royal.
From Port Port Royal.
A lot of them came from Port Royal, a lot of them came from Jamaica, right?
Yes.
So there's a lot of Jamaican connection. We even like reggae and that sort of thing, you know.
Well, funny enough, I have quite a few Jamaican friends that have told me now that, oh, I love Belize. They've been to Belize. My high school friends have gone and settled in Belize, quite a few actually as well. So very good connection between Belize and Jamaica.
That's right. I have a few Jamaican artists who are very good friends of mine, right? Among them, and the number one, I wouldn't say it's hard to put people in number one category, but one of my good friends, of course, is Ken Lazarus, and the other one is Ernest Smith, you know, and Loving Dear, and all of these guys, you know, we're all good friends, Lord Laro, and so I have a lot of Jamaican friends as well. So I am familiar with Jamaica very, very well through the music and its people.
I think we have an instinctive relationship. It just makes sense. It just feels really good. It feels very natural. The way we communicate also is very similar. So it makes Jamaica and Belize has a good connection, and I'm loving it.
So thanks for choosing Belize.
Thank you so much, Belize, for allowing me to share. And you're a wonderful, wonderful country.
We will wrap up our discussion with George Gabb Jr. as he speaks of his business venture he has undertaken. We take a break to hear from our partners, Belize Natural Energy Charitable Trust, the Barry, Shell Belize, and the National Gas Company.
Let's be real. Forget the propaganda. Forget the hype. Forget the gimmicks. When it comes to butane, only two things really matter: the value you get and how long you can stretch your dollar. That's it. Butane is my business. It's how I feed my family. It's how I send my kids to school. What matters to you matters to me. With NGC, the quality of the butane is better. In fact, customers say tanks last as much as 2 weeks longer. And the cost, it's one cost period, whether you pick it up in the north, south, or by Belmopan. One supplier, one cost, no games. This lets me compete on a fair basis, and I can then pass on better prices to you, my customers. It's as simple as that. I am Stephen Bissett, and I deliver butane in the Belize district. NGC has been good for us in Belize. We welcome the transparency, we welcome the better product, and we welcome the fairness that now prevails.
The National Gas Company Belize Limited, fueling Belize forward.
Since 2008, the Belize Natural Energy Charitable Trust has created opportunities for Belizeans to develop themselves and their communities. The Trust employs tools that are intuitive, collaborative, and accessible so that every Belizean is empowered to achieve their full potential. Over 200,000 Belizeans have been impacted because of our various initiatives. The Belize Natural Energy Charitable Trust, empowering Belizeans of today to create the Belize of tomorrow.
We are the Barry, offering you great products, good service, and of course, the lowest prices in the entire country. Visit us in Belize City, Belmopan, San Ignacio Cayo, Orange, and now in San Pedro, La Isla Bonita. The Barry. Get more? Be less.
Shell V-Power, with 3 times more cleaning and friction-reducing molecules. Go well! Go Shell!
It don't matter what part of the jewel they come from. You that you and me that.
So George, let's look at your early life in Belize at this time. What do you remember most of Belize? And make sure you talk to me about your parents as well.
Yes, you know, my earliest memories were, you know, we lived on 10 Tiger Street, you know, there in Mesopotamia, and we lived with my Uncle Charlie and my Aunt Elsie. My Uncle Charlie was the lighthouse keeper out at Half Moon Key. That's where my dad grew up. So my dad, my Aunt Elsie and my Uncle Charlie raised my dad on Half Moon Key, and that's where he learned to carve. You know, being a kid out there on the key by himself pretty much. He'd tell us the stories of walking around the Half Moon Key, finding the food and everything, and then starting to make something out of it. So So that's where I grew up. I remember my dad's shop on Albert Street, and my Uncle Charlie would always walk us, over there to go visit and go drop off stuff, because he would also be carving. Yeah. My Uncle Charlie would carve, and so carving and working with wood was always part of our our experience, and we started learning how to make knives and fish from we were 6-7 years old. So we were doing that, and so going over there to my dad's workshop was like always like the best thing I could possibly want. He had his little studio area there where he had all his books, his comic books, as well as his more philosophical books, and I was just an avid reader. I just consumed everything. Mm-hmm. So my favorite thing was sitting in his hammock in the back there and reading all his books, and so that was one of my things there. And then I remember my brothers and I, we'd all go there. We had when he had made and I remember clearly when he had made the Sleeping Giant, and we were still very, very young at that time, and it was there in the shop, and it was behind this purple curtain with these lights, and it was right there in the front, and I just loved to sit right next to that.
And you remember what he would say while he was carving the Sleeping Giant, and how he would go about doing it?
Oh, so I don't remember him carving it, but I remember him having it there after it was finished. But my thing about him was he was always just a problem solver. He was just looking and finding solutions for things, My favorite, and my brother and I, we always argue about this, But one of my favorite memories was when he was doing boat racing, because he was in the regattas.
In the regattas, yeah.
So at the time they had the boat, they had the dory, they had the sailing dory, and it was Art Min, and the mast had broken or something like that, and so the dory was kind of finished, and he was like, again, no, I could turn this thing around, right? He said, can I turn the dory around, move the mast back and everything, and I remember him coming home after one regatta, and he goes to my Uncle Charlie and says, Uncle Charlie, I got a question for you. This is the way I want it, because my Uncle Charlie was an expert, boat builder, and so he says, can I do that? My Uncle Charlie says, of course you could do that. If you have to do this, you have to do the balance, you're going to redo the keel and all that type of stuff. And so they changed around and switched around the Art Min, So Art Min was the backwards dory, sailing dory, and they would go out to Bird's Isle, and they used to have all the regattas off there, and I remember with Dean Lindo and all of those guys, and just back then, to even have been in the presence of men of these stature was, you didn't really know it as a little kid, but to just have been around, folks that were, so, progressive and so.
Because Lindo had a lot of interest in that regard.
Oh yeah, so that was great. So I remember, that was the thing, just finding all these different things. I remember, and in my eulogy, when he passed, I reference a lot of those things because, even with the kite contest, he was in everything. Everything, kite contest, it would make the big kites and all of that, started making big kites. So it was just the environment that we grew up in, just being involved.
Most Belizeans at that time knew who George Gabb was. For sure.
yes, yeah. Too much to a certain extent too. Even beyond that, because his fame kind of overshadowed a lot of things, and so I know I remember. Going for a scholarship, and they say, well, you qualify for the scholarship, but you're George Gabb's son, so we have to give it to somebody else, right? Meanwhile, at that time, he was a struggling artist, we didn't have much, but and so we said, no problem. So, we just moved forward and
worked. Had more than others.
yeah, exactly, because, it was George, so you figured you had more, but, you didn't really have anything, so we, like I said, we were there. In fact, we were very, very fortunate because, my mother, and this is why it's the George and Sarita Gabb Foundation that we're making, is my mother, at that time, she went and she got land and she got the loan and she started building our home in Kings Park. Yeah. And I remember we moved into our Kings Park home in January of the, I think it was, I remember when the Tiger Street fire was, but that Tiger Street fire came in just like weeks after we had moved, you know, and had we not, if my mom had not built that house, you know, we would have been homeless at that time, you know, because the whole Tiger Street, you know, just burned down. So, you know, that was, you know, it was a great time. It was a great time to be out there. And
I wonder about the art gallery that was built on Belama, in the Belama area by the highway.
Yes. Oh yeah, that art gallery. My dad started building that out once. You know, he was, as you know, he used to come and teach up here in the U.S. and every summer he would come up and he would teach at different colleges as artist in residence and doing those types of things. And then when he'd come back, so he would started making those connections with the colleges up here and high schools and stuff. And through that funding was able to build that art studio, which is again one of the reasons why I say I'm not just abandoning up here. I'm keeping my leg in both places, because that's how, you know, you build those opportunities. So with the collaboration of those folks, he was able to then build that studio, and he kind of did it in the same, you know, mode that he had his Albert Shop Street, but he created where he had his home in it, he had his gallery in it, and then he had his workshop downstairs, and so at that time, that was just about around the time when I left Belize, so I didn't get to spend a whole lot of time in the gallery. But my brothers spent a lot of time with him there, and that was where that gallery took a lot of different trajectories. At one point, they had made it into they had a restaurant there going, you know. So yeah, that was.
I remember visiting the gallery with him. I mean, visiting him at the gallery, I can remember very well, and him showing me around. I can also remember when it became a restaurant, and I went to the restaurant as well.
Well, I never ate at the restaurant. You know, at that. Yeah, unfortunately, that was a period of time that I was not in Belize. You know, there was about 13 years that I didn't really make it back home. So that time period there, I missed. You know, but yeah, that restaurant was beautiful, and I remember when building that house. You know, even because I remember him building it, and I had left. When he was building that building, you know, he and my uncle Carl, because my uncle Carl helped him building. My uncle Carl was a contractor, and they would argue about, because he had that beautiful stair, you know, the curved staircase in there going up, and they wanted to do it to make it look like it was floating and all that type of stuff, just the two connections, and they would argue about it and going over it, and they came out, and it came out beautiful, you know, and that was the thing, and that was just the way that he operated, you know. Let's, you know, find that beauty in something, and let's express it, and he would find a way to express it, you know. So yeah, he certainly did, and so I'm trying to emulate that, and trying to use that to inspire people, and to do more, and make a difference in their lives, you know. So.
And listening to you, it's good to know that you keep those memories alive. That even though you have come over here for many years, you have not forgotten Belize. That you keep Belize very close. That you are doing something to help our country in your own way, and that you plan to continue helping young Belizeans to excel. All that is fine. I'm with that, right? You know, because it's about helping Belize. It's about taking our country forward. About all of us putting in Spanish, it's nuestro granito de arena. Everybody putting in their little grain of sand to make Belize a great nation that it is and will be in the future.
Yes, absolutely. yes. No, I mean, absolutely. I mean, that making, and that's the thing. You know, I see Belize in terms of the industry and revenue, and, you know, from an economic perspective as well. One of the biggest resources that is untapped in Belize is the Belizean mine. You know, we have some incredibly smart people, and I made a joke out at Kikaka, you know, with my nephew Brian Gabb, who's who's a comedian now, you know, and so I had put a show together for them out in Kikaka down there in that 6 weeks that we went down there, and I looked at, you know, Kikaka, they still have, you know, the gravel roads and everything, and they wouldn't pave it over because they want to keep that authenticity and everything. But whenever it rains, you get patrol everywhere, right? So I said I already figured out why Belizean people are so smart. I said, because if you have to ride your bicycle from one end of the street to the other without get dirty, through them pothole, you know, you have to be a mathematician, right? Yeah. So that was, you know, the Belizean mind is there. So that whole intellectual work is incredibly valuable, and the future, actually the current economy, world economy, global economy is an information economy, and to participate in a global information economy, you have to use your mind, right? That's the thing. So we still believe too. I think Belize is blessed. Belize is in a position where, in terms of from even like climate change and all of that, I think Belize is, even though it's extremely hot, but Belize has always been hot. I love it, right? But Belize, you know, we able to produce our own food. You know, I mean, the land is so rich. You know, we have the ability with the beauty to bring in the tourism, and so we have all of those things there. And it's just a matter of engaging that man and showing people what is possible, and then giving them the opportunity to take advantage of those things. And that's what I
call it a revolution of the mind, right? Because I hear you, and those thoughts I share, those thoughts that it's a mindset that we need to work with, right? Because your life will always follow your thoughts, and yes. if you're not taught how to think and how to set goals and how to move towards goals and how to know your country, how to love your country, then your mindset is easily changed and in any direction. So I think you are so right, and that it's the mind that we need to work with.
Yes, and with the mind you can move so many. You can move mountains with it. You know what I mean? And if you think about it, everything about human achievement is all about information, right? It's all about the mind. It's figuring out everything you look around you, and everything you see, some human had to think of it first for it to happen.
That's right.
You know, so
follow
the thought, and yeah, you know, so absolutely, that is one of the things there that we're doing, and then collaboration, how to do and accomplish things without financial capital resources, because again, in Belize we have all these resources, and if you just find how to collaborate with each other, and so, you know, rather than trying to say, you know, everybody's in you know, okay, if I do something with you, I got to get paid. The objective is to get paid, but you don't have to do that at every step of the way. If you're doing that at every step of the way, you'll never get ahead, because, you know, if you have shortage of revenue coming in, but if you know that, you know, oh, you can do this and I know how to move it. So an example of that, you know, is Mr. Cortez, Sonny Cortez, a childhood friend of mine. His father makes cashew wine. His father passed, and the last batch of cashew wine that his father made 14 years ago, he still has it. So we have a 14-year-old cashew wine that basically, you know, he had there, and this thing is delicious, beautiful, and so, but he was selling. He had no way to distribute or sell, and they were selling. He was selling it for $13, you know, a bottle, a quart, and everything like that. That's what everybody's selling cashew wine for. And I tasted this thing. I said, no, man, this thing is better than that. And I said, I know how to market how to market that. So now I'm working with him to market his cashew wine. That's how we ended up in Kikaka with a comedy show and all that type of stuff. Again, in the grain of my father's work, supporting the arts. So that's another thing that we have to do, is we want to support the arts. So I put together the show with my nephew. We pulled it together, and of course I compensated him, but to show with just a minimal investment, you could have maximum impact. And that's my approach, right? So with Mr. Cortez, you know, he doesn't, with minimal investment, I can help him start to produce and distribute his wine and make it become a product that he can actually rely on to sell and support his family and all of that type of stuff.
It's a perception in the mind, like you rightly say. When you do marketing, you look at an imported product in a nicely packaged label. The product inside that vessel might be inferior to something that you make.
Correct.
Right? And because yours just have a little sticker on it, and it's not labeled in this fancy way, people gravitate towards the pretty thing and think that the other one is not good, when in fact it might even be better. So, there's a lot of work to do to tell people, to show people mentally. I always tell younger people, in life, you don't follow money, right? In life, you work to excel. You work to be the best you can be. And when you become the best you can be, the money catches up with you and follows you. What are your thoughts on that?
My thoughts on that is 100. Absolutely 100. That is absolutely it. In fact, just yesterday I was talking to a physicist and a gentleman that's on, we're building out our AI center. We just opened it up yesterday. And he said, he was at an observatory, right, where, and I don't remember exactly where the observatory was, but you have all the folks down at the bottom, below, like on this, halfway up this mountain, right? So you have everybody in the valley. And then you look up, and all the way halfway up there was the physicist with the observatory. He was like halfway up there, and then you had everything up at the top of the mountain, right? So the folks down at the bottom, they yelled up to him and says, how did you get there, right? And he looked down and said to them, 30 years of bloody hard work, So so that's what it is. And so absolutely that comes in, right? But the thing is, how do you do collaborations, right? How do you use the resources that you already have? So, for example, with Mr. Cortez, thing is, and I have a bottle right there to show you, is we redid his label, right? But it's very, just a little sticker, like you said. But I brought it up here and at the college, and I went down to my colleague down the hall, and he teaches packaging. So I said, hey, you want a project for your packaging class this semester? He goes, yes. And so we're going to have the packaging design, the pretty packaging design, at no cost to Mr. Cortez. Yes, I see. You see? That's the collaboration. That's the thinking part, right? That's looking at all the resources that you have available to you. Each one of us have those resources available to us. You have to look at it and say, how can I work with this person, and pull this thing together and make something happen? And then, you can say, okay, now we can look at, I need to throw money in it.
Because I look at working for money as, if I'm paid $200 a week, and I do $200 a week work, chances are we're making that $200 for quite a long time. But if I do get paid $200 a week, and I work $500 worth of work, or maybe more, right? Eventually, I will be making much more than that $200, right? In other words, the money will follow me.
Yes.
Right? Because I am so good.
Yes.
And I've learned so much because I did not limit myself to working.
To go beyond.
Right.
Actually, I'm in this position because of that. That very thing. I mean, when I told you I was a student assistant and everything, and I would do the photocopying and everything, I was supposed to work 4 hours a day, right? But I would be there sometimes 8 hours. And I never asked for a dime. And that's when they needed to promote somebody, I was the one that got the promotion. You know what I mean?
You knew.
And I knew. And I also knew, that was the other thing. Everywhere I go, I ask people questions. I talk to people, and so I did the same thing. So even at work, when I was a gopher, right? They tell you, go for this, go for that, right? And they would say, go to the bursar's office. I don't know what the bursar's office. I go there, and then I ask them, I said, so what do you guys do here? And then they would tell me. I said, oh, okay. And then I said, go to the registrar's office. What do they do there? And I talked to them, and they would tell me. You know, people like to talk about themselves. I'm talking about myself right now, you know. So you ask people, and by doing that, I was able to learn how the entire university system works without having to go to school about it. I know.
You see, that's the point.
That's the point.
That's the point.
Exactly.
So you received instruction, invaluable instruction, without paying for it.
Without paying for it, exactly, because
Just
knowledge,
work harder.
because it's knowledge, and knowledge is free. That's the beauty. Knowledge should be free, right?
Yeah.
I mean, without knowledge, none of this stuff exists.
Exactly. So don't limit yourself. That's the main thing.
Don't limit yourself. Yes.
Okay.
Use all your resources and use that mind. So that we want to inspire people to do that. You know.
Excellent. So George, you actually brought a bottle of cashew wine, of this cashew wine we were talking about earlier, and you gave it a name too, El Cortez, genuine cashew wine, cashew water.
Cashew water. Where did we come up with cashew water? Well, you know, when I tasted that thing, you know, I tasted it, and I said, this thing is not wine. This thing is better than wine, you know. And so I said, this thing is like a shot. So I started drinking it like a shot. So that's how we're marketing it as a shot. And I said, this thing is fire water, but cashew fire water is a little too long. So cashew water, you know, is how we came with it. So, but it's like you know, it's like aguardiente, you know. So that's how we came up with that name, cashew water, because it's we're trying to make, you know, tequila is like for Mexico. Well, cashew water is Belize's version of that, you know, of tequila, right? Yeah.
And I like how you put cashew, K-A-S-H-U. You did not spell it the English way, you spelled it the Creole way. The English way, C-A-S-H-E-W. The Creole way, like cashew, K-A-S-H-U, cashew, right?
Yeah.
Cashew, K-A-S-H-U, water. It's not W-A-T-R either. It's not W-A-T-R, it's W-A-T-A. So like cashew water.
Yeah, exactly, like cashew water. You know? So, in fact, I already thought we got, you know, it leads, you know, you could think of a being, you know, cashew water, cashew water. So you could think of all these things to do this stuff.
Water,
Exactly. You know, you could do.
Give me the cashew water.
Give me the cashew water.
Ray-Ban might vex me. He's a good fella, man. So I thought we were okay.
Hey, exactly. You know, give credit where credit is due.
Lord Ray-Ban, the mighty Lord Ray-Ban.
Yes, the mighty Lord Ray-Ban. You know, so yeah, like I said, you know, Belize is just incredible, and what this man did with this wine is incredible, and so that's one of the things that we want to do is we want to highlight people who are, you know, exceptional in their fields. You know,
El Cortez.
Yeah, El Cortez.
Why you put El Cortez?
His name is Efrain Cortez. You know, he used to have a body shop right across our house in front of our house in Kings Park. You know, so that's how I got involved with this, right? So his son, Sonny Cortez, is continuing on. So he taught his son how to make the wine. You know, so again, this comes back to education, comes back to information, comes back to utilizing, you know, everything, all the philosophy that we talked about, you know, is right here in this bottle, you know. And then, you know, it's like, okay, well, let's make this thing Belize. So, you know, one of the things that we talked about when we were looking at this, we said, you know, do we want to get it to export it and all this type of stuff? And we were like, you know, and they said, nah, you know, if you think about it, this is Belizean. This is like, you know, this is, you know, uniquely Belizean. So, you know, if you want to get it, come to Belize. Yeah. Come to Belize and get the cashew water. Yes, get that cashew water, you know. And then, of course, you know, you have all the you know, the folklore around it, you know. Yeah. You know, in addition to it being very, very good, then you get all the, you know, you can't drink it, you know, too much. You get drunk on it and you go to the sun the next day, you know, you get drunk again. Yeah. You know, cashew wine is an aphrodisiac and all them kind of things, you know. So
legends around it.
Lots of legends.
A lot of people in the Belize River Valley, let's just plug them as well, because a lot of people in the Belize River Valley do cashew wine. Absolutely. You know, and it might be interesting to maybe get different flavors of cashew wine. You know, with whiskey, you look at whiskey and you say, okay, this single malt is made by this distillery, this single malt is made by that one, and so on, and each one they make their own brand. It'd be nice to get different brands of cashew water.
Exactly, you know, exactly, yeah, flavors. Exactly. We make this thing. This is Belize. This is Belize, right? This is our version, and promote it and sell it, and let folks know and come and enjoy and experience our version of what else is out here, you know. And but we don't this is the one thing, I told this to my family, and I told this to my wife and everybody. I said, Belizeans do such wonderful things, but we often degrade ourselves about it. We don't step up, and we say, we're like, oh no, we don't do this, we like what she was saying, we say, oh, we don't support each other. No, Belizeans support each other. It's beautiful, and so I'm trying to just have Belize, open up and let out her beauty the way, in a different way, and this way is, through collaboration and trying to find these little micro ways of doing it. Because we had started out, my brother and I, we started doing, I know we called it Gabbilicious. And we, just before
Gabbilicious now?
So Gabbilicious is actually, Chris it's a ginger and lime drink. That we produced, and just when pandemic came, it hit us, and so we didn't go forward much, but we're going to be picking up back on that. And then ginger went out through the roof and all of that. So that's the type of thing. So right now, to even make that drink is be extremely expensive. Yeah. Well, guess what? We have farms. We have. So you grow your ginger, you grow your own ginger, and things of that nature. So that's the way that, you could do, again, minimal investment, maximum impact. Yeah. So we're looking to bring back Gabbilicious real soon to everybody out there, and putting that out there, etc. That one, would be like more of an energy and health drink. It's very, very healthy. To be honest, I helped my brother launch that thing, and I still haven't tasted it yet. So, because
just the marketing preparation.
Putting it together and all that type of stuff. Because again, having exposure. And this is the thing, right? Exposure to that and to this environment, right? And having access to how things are done. And then to come home and say, okay, you could do this, and you could, because you're there and you're stuck. You're like, well, what do? I don't have money to do this. I have to get this graphic. I have to get that. So use those skills. You have that over there. You know this person over here. Let's put these two people together, and let's go do this thing together, and let's make this enterprise and make it work. And the Belizean people are incredibly innovative and are entrepreneurial at spirit, and they just need that little extra. Foundation, that little, what you call it, when you say, I'm lost for the words now, when you have that scaffolding, right? That scaffolding around that they need to just get that little extra step, have somebody believe in you instead of having somebody take something from you, Yes.
So. And one of the creeds of an entrepreneur, because myself, I'm an entrepreneur, we have dreams, we pursue our dreams, and we make sure our dreams become reality by sticking to it and working hard for it. But I can remember one of the sayings that I always kept in my mind, and that is, success consists of getting up one more time than you fall. Because sometimes as an entrepreneur, we start up and we say, we start with this idea, it must work, it's supposed to work, and if it don't work, then we give up, we should never give up where our dreams are concerned, because successful entrepreneurs, it's rare to find one that made it at the first try. You have any comments?
No, absolutely on that. Absolutely. I mean, again, when talking to folks about this in this project, everybody's like, you could get cashew wine anywhere, and so, like, for example, for this, we're not selling this for $13. We're selling this for $40, right? And we already sold, when I took it, I went out there and I said, okay, yeah, and I sold 4 cases just like that, boom, right, at $40. And everybody's like, what? I said, listen, just look at me, right? Because I'm going to make it happen. I'm going to make it happen. And that's it. So just one step. So everybody's like, well, we've tried this before and we've done this before. And all my life, even here, as a department chairperson, when I came to Miami-Dade, when my department meeting, I said, okay, guys, we're going to start offering classes on Saturdays, Friday nights, Saturdays, and we're going to do weekend classes and everything. Because at Nova, we did that, but at Miami-Dade, they didn't. And they were like, no, this would never work. We've tried this before, blah, blah, blah. They were all, I said, just watch me. And I did it, and it worked, right? Because just because something doesn't work today doesn't mean it's not going to work tomorrow. right? And so, and again, like you said, you just got to keep at it and going in it. And then our trip this summer, that 6-week trip was an example of that. I mean, we hit, roadblock after roadblock after roadblock.
You learn from each of those roadblocks.
We learn from each one. We overcome each one, and we expand on it. Like for example, with the digital tribe, we're focusing on rural schools, right? We want to do the entire nation, but we're looking at the rural schools, and the rural schools, they're really suffering for resources, and so that was one of the big things. So. When for Lucky Strike, the computers that I donated, they don't have internet, right? So that was something that we're going to have to figure out. When in the summer trip, I was fortunate to have the opportunity to speak. With Minister Fonseca, and Minister Fonseca said, "Look, we're doing all these wonderful, and they're doing it, and they made I think." There was, stuff that he was working on, and in terms of getting internet access and everything. So it was like, wonderful, this is perfect, So it's just at the right time. And this is one of the things I told him. I said, I've always wanted to do this. And this goes back to what you were just saying, right? I've always wanted to do this, but I was never in the position to do it. But today I am. And that's the reason why I'm doing it, So that goes right back to that entrepreneurial spirit, you just have to get back up and do it, So it is an exciting time, and I am, excited to and very grateful to have this opportunity to do this, and use this moment to actually preserve a resource for Belize, because the way I view it is, my father's work and his legacy is a national treasure, and it has to be cared for. It has to be cared for, and so the way I look at it is, if I don't care for it, who else can I expect to care? Who can care? Who else will? So that's what I'm doing. So this project came because my wife kept encouraging me to do this. It's like, because I was like, thinking about it. She's like, you should do it. And basically, we want to establish a cultural and learning center in his name, where we can teach people how to. We want to set up since I'm doing computers, I'm going to have the free classes and schools there. We want to have where people can do their the carving, so we're going to have a wood workshop and all of that, because it's for the arts. We want to have in there and a place. You've been to Jamaica, right? You've been to Devon House, right? Yeah. Exactly. So let's put together a little cultural center like Devon House, where you also have, stores and things. So like I was saying, getting folks that are very good in their fields, where you can have the different shops in the back, and you can have that as a tourist attraction.
That would be a big tourist attraction, because everything made in Belize will be showcased there.
Exactly, and that's the idea. In one spot, right?
Or similar spots in each district or whatever, but it's really one.
And that's actually,
central point.
Yes, and to that point, we were looking at. That's why one of the reasons why we're up in Cayo is we were looking to do it up in Cayo, right? Why? Because when I go in Cayo, people there, most people in Cayo, they're not very familiar with him, right? You do have people there, and you have that know it, but it's not as like Belize City, right? And so you want to encourage and grow your heritage across the entire country, right? And so that's the idea, to create a network and do it across there. But Cayo was one of the spots that we were looking at, trying to build this out there, and not just trying to build. Where are we going to build? We're going to build this. This is getting built. This is getting built. This is not want to, right? We already started. We started with the Digital Tribe project, which has been going wonderful. Up here in the college, I came back and I shared with them what I was doing, and my campus president was like, "Oh, we were behind you 100%." And when the moment I got back, I had a meeting with him, and he was like, "Okay." And we already set up a project for next summer where we're bringing students down to do installations. The college is donating computers that we go through a refresh process, and so that's the other thing, right? Is like these machines that I bought. We took down 40 desktop computers and 20 laptops. And what I did was I had made a reconnection with a friend of mine who owns a recycling company, and so I purchased these machines from him, and we refurbished them, right? So we put 8 gigs of RAM in them and put in hard drives, 250 gig hard drives. So we made these computers workable. So for about $4,500 US, right, plus shipping, was able to get 40 desktops and 20 laptops down to donate, right? So again, minimum investment, maximum impact. And so with the college now, we refresh these machines all the time, and we have thousands of computers.
Those that you gave will need refreshing one sometime soon again. You know, that sort of thing. So the cycle has to continue. It cannot be a one-off.
Exactly. And so with the college now, we've worked it out, and now we're establishing that as a program, and so we're going to do that, and we're starting out small. So for next year, we're starting out with 100 machines, and then we would want to move up with even more beyond that. So yeah, establishing the George Gabb Foundation is not just, it's not like a will-do thing. This is a thing that we're doing.
That you're doing.
Yes.
Well, George, I want to thank you so much for talking with me, right? And for sharing your plans and your dreams and your history and the love you feel for your family, the love you feel for your country. Because everything we do it because of love, because we love to do it, right? We choose to love to do it, right? And one quick comment on love for you, and then we go.
Everything is love, and my Facebook thing my icon is love. That's love. I think without love, we always say, oh, we want love, we want peace in this world. We also wish for these things, right? And I say, the simple thing is, if you want peace in this world, be peaceful to the next person. Yeah. That's it. That's all you got to do.
Love yourself.
If you want love yourself, and then you can love other people. Yeah, but love is that foundational, motivation that makes us, get up every morning and do everything that we need to do, And so, I live by love, and it's unconditional. That's the thing about love. It's on no conditions, and that's how we're operating too. Because even with the donations of all this that we give to each institution that we give, we invite them to join us with doing the free computer programming classes, right? So that's one of the key things I want to get established, is that we want to do free computer programming classes across the country, and so that takes love. And that takes participation from a lot of folks. So.
And love is a choice that we all make. And so we end, as we usually do, by saying, Belize and beyond, thanks for choosing love. Belize Watch, knowledge of the past, impacting the present, building the future.
Celebration time. It don't matter what part of the jewel they come from. You that you and me that me. But guess what?